Hmm. Most annoying defense unit ever? Not so sure. Alright guys, welcome to another, it's been a while, unit analysis series. As you can see, today's topic will be Iago, and I'm gonna call him Ego because he reminds me of the breakfast I used to have a while ago. Now, just a reminder to you folks that don't follow all my content, Twitter and Twitch in the description below, where you can get a lot more of me and my overall thoughts and gameplay on that. If you guys can check me out there, I would appreciate it. Let's move forward. So, Ego here has a pretty, I'd say, not interesting stat line, and it's going to be very important to realize this when we talk about his weapon and the sort of things he brings to the game. So I'll call this like the Leon or Sophia stat line, where you have like mediocre speed, basic defense, and good attack and res. So we've seen this before, but the fact that he has a pretty mediocre speed will hold him back from truly being a flexible unit. And we'll talk about why his tome overall might not be as good as you think it is. So, with that being said, let's actually look at his tome a little bit here. So below, if you don't know what it is our Ego tome. It's a big wall of text, but basically what this is on odd turns, you guard and debuff offensive stats, and on even turns, you panic and lower defensive stats. Okay, so like the even turn is pretty much a Versa without the offensive stats, and the odd turn is actually kind of unique to him. But what really sets him back is the fact that there's an odd and even mechanic. So this is what's going to hold him back from truly being a consistent unit in the long term. I feel like even though the effect is unique, it's not the greatest of effects because the fact that it has to run on the whole odd and even turn mechanic. Odd and even skills have always been fairly inconsistent. My experience using them, not so great. Making plays on turns where you don't really want to is not the kind of unit you really want to bring in on maybe a team slot, whether that's on defense or offense. On offense, he might be useful as a tech choice, meaning you bring him in as like one of the 5 teams you bring in with your usual carry unit, and maybe you can take advantage of his, units are by themselves effect, and it would do better than what a Versa would do. But the thing is, in almost every other case, a Versa is just straight up better. Plus, you already likely have many a Versa copies, or are likely to get her on the reruns that is coming up. So Ego isn't really going to show any sort of prominence, at least for a few months, till he gets added to the Grail Shop and then a rerun. And even then, the counterplay on him on defense is literally don't engage on the turns where his effect does things. I see his best case on defense being against players who don't use mythics, which is why you're not using mythics, and against probably players who don't read his weapon. Because honestly, as long as you recognize he's on the enemy team, you can play around it, or you can just have a carry that has more HP than him. Because even at max investment, Ego isn't exactly the highest HP unit, even when HP stacking. So we'll look into a couple builds here on the left. First one I want to look at is the budget build, +1 over there. So +1, Ego reaches 65 HP on offense, which is actually pretty good for tackling most defenses. If you were to reverse this and actually add it to defense, it'd still be not as good as you want it to be. Because it caps out at 65, and a lot of tanks can actually get there or higher, especially if people use 2 mythics, 3 mythics even have started to become more common, and use summoner support, which most, good players should use summoner support. So unfortunately, this HP is just short of being good enough. And that's really what's going to hold him back. But I think as a tech choice, he'll do fine. The fact that he comes with attack opening is kind of nice. Use him with Smite and a Link skill from Norn. Give him HP 5 in the A and S, and you're good to go as at least a tech choice for running into those zigzag teams where they're trying to counter a Versa. So Ego ends up being a little bit better. Now, the fact that he gives guard on the enemy teams isn't really too great. It could work against maybe some armors that aren't together to deny bold fighters or special fighters, or probably teams that for whatever reason don't already have charged specials, because realistically his isolation effect, just when I say isolate I mean units by themselves, doesn't really work against IP teams who already have charged specials. So not, again, like I said, not really feeling it. And then he's pretty much just a Versa on an even turn, which is a problem because if you use Bolt Tower on offense, which you should, it doesn't line up on the turn you want the debuff to be there, which would be the even turn. So again, a Versa just kind of does this better on the turns you want to engage. However, as I said, if you use him as a tech choice, +1 really isn't that much of investment, and the build on the left isn't that much. It's only 40,000 feathers. He could find a slot on your team. However, he's probably competing with tons of other supports. I'm talking Corin, Versa, a Dancer, Corin. I don't know if I actually mentioned Corin, Lancina, Bridal Fjorm, whatever. All of those characters, there's only literally, if you use 2 mythics and a bonus unit, there's only space for 1 carry and 1 support. So does Iago really take that slot? I still don't think so. If you want to look at Iago at more like an max investment case, this would be more like it. Now this one uses summoner support, which you can consider using. If you feel like you're not hitting for whatever reason, defense teams have too much HP, that would be the build for it. Because of that pass giving you 3 summoner supports, I just assume like the units that want HP, like a Versa, Bridal Fjorm, and Iago, likely deserve that summoner support. And the best B skill he's probably going to run is even Pulse Tie. Everything that checks HP will work out for him. So merges, summoner support, and even Pulse Tie in B is pretty much your max way of looking at him. And finally, what I think could be decent as a thing to consider would be Iago in Arena. Again, to use an HP seal on the seal slot, you need to make sure you run 300 SP skills on both A and C, and a preference tome, which can be done here for max scoring. So max scoring Iago here pretty much will look something like this at full potential. And again, I think it's actually not so bad in Arena. In Arena, you have time. You're not on a 7-turn clock. His weapon can kind of work a little bit better, especially against like the last remaining foes. So like when there's 1 or 2 units left, or they're going in from the sides on some maps like the Bridge or Desert or Oasis, then he'll probably see more use there. Unfortunately, he doesn't provide guidance support, which is what a Versa brings in. And again, his stat spread isn't the greatest. It's good, but it's not the greatest. And therefore, that'll hold him back. Now, to really take a look at it, just a kind of comparison, we have ourselves a Versa. So, if you compare with the builds on the left, a Versa actually pretty much matches him at full investment when it comes to HP, but the thing that really sets her apart is a better speed stat, which really does matter if you want to use her in other ways. The amount of times that a Versa has been used for guidance in Arena or in AR to just double and get a consistent Moonbow off, and her stat spread does me a lot of favors for making sure she secures those kills when my carry might be too weakened or otherwise can't reach because of flyers. The fact that she's flyer also does give her better natural support with mythics, and I'm talking like Air Peony, so flyer formations, flyer guidances, even air orders or whatever, really does help her a lot. And she doesn't mess up your tactics. So if you run a carry and it's an infantry and a bonus unit, a Versa doesn't mess that up by being on the floor like Iago is. So that's something very important to consider. Overall, I'm gonna pretty much say that this result of what Iago is just to use a Versa. In most cases, a Versa will do the job fine. The situation where Iago works out is a situation where the meta kind of has split teams, or teams on just not touching each other, and usually those teams are designed in a manner to kind of like counter sudden panic. They're using buffs, tactics, or or like zigzagged and such. And the thing is, those teams usually will use like tactics or buffs and such, and the fact that his like isolation hitting the sole unit thing doesn't panic and instead provides guard is another thing that's kind of oof. If he was reversed in what he did, meaning like the even turn he would guard, like hit guard, and on the odd turn where the unit was alone would hit panic, that would actually make him much more usable. But unfortunately he just ends up being a more inconsistent Aversa at the end of the day. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think about Ego in the comments below. Please let me know if you like the new style of videos. They're just slightly touch-ups, a little bit more edits where places fit, but nonetheless you have Akariss at the end of the day, and that's what I'm here for. Like, subscribe, and check me out on the other links below. See you guys in the next video. Peace.